Welcome to our video series on creating and using mini-sites. In this video, we'll look at using keywords to help your mini-site get found. If you're interested in making your mini-site or some pages of your mini-site more likely to be found through the search engines, here are a couple of points you may want to keep in mind. For this demonstration, I'm going to open up a mini-site template I've created. I have Mozilla Composer open here, so File, Open, and it opens up the desktop. I'm going to open up the default index.html page here. Let's open that. And as you can see, this is a template, a mini-site template I've created. Now imagine that this is an actual page that I'm going to use on my website. With just a few changes, I can make it more likely that this page will appear through the search engines for certain search phrases. But let me talk you through the process. Okay, I'm going to the browser, and I'm going to go to a very useful keyword suggestion tool. Hopefully, the address of this won't change, because it's had this address for quite a long time. You go to inventory.overture.com. This is the Overture search term suggestion tool. And even though Overture has been bought out by Yahoo, as you can see, it can still be found at this address. So enter words you're interested in getting visitors for. So let's say we're creating a mini-site about coffee beans, for example. So you can type in a keyword phrase, coffee beans. And you click the button, and it searches, and it should give you more suggestions for words which are related to those terms. You can see that the highest number of searches, and these are searches done in September 2005, just under 20,000 searches for bean coffee, and about 4,500 for bean coffee leaf tea. And you can see how it goes. If you're interested in going more in-depth into any of these terms, you can click it, and it searches on this phrase and gives you even more in-depth niche phrases. Obviously, the more niche a search phrase is, the less time it's searched for. But often, optimizing pages for search terms like this is some of the easiest traffic you can get, because they also have low competition. But obviously, proportionately, because they have low competition, there aren't many people out there searching for these terms. So that's something to keep in mind. If we go back a page, let's take a search phrase. Let's say bean coffee roasters. And let's say we want to optimize our mini-site page for that term. This term here. Bean coffee roasters. So let's go back to Composer, and the actual subject of optimizing your website and your web pages for getting search engine traffic for free is a huge and, very importantly, an ever-changing and almost, week by week, if not day by day basis. The search engines, Yahoo, Google, and MSN, are constantly changing how they rank websites in their index. So if you really want to stay up to date with this, it's almost a full-time job. That's why you have search engine optimization specialists. However, I'm going to talk you through just a few simple things you can do that won't affect in any way the content of your page, but can help you, even if just marginally. They can help you appear higher in the search engine results. One of the most important things you can do is put the words you want to be found on in the title. So let's Okay, Bean Coffee Roasters. Let's go back to Composer and Format. Go down to the bottom, Title Page, Page Title and Properties. Click. Okay, at the moment, we just have a page title that's a holder, not very specific at all. So if we just had our search term that we wanted to be found on, it could be Bean Coffee Roasters. However, if we go back to the browser, and let's go to Google, and let's search for that term, Bean Coffee Roasters. And just to give you an idea of what's important when optimizing a page for the search engines, as you can see here, Google highlights the words. Oops, let's try that again. They just highlight the words. I'm trying to highlight this without clicking on the link. There we go. Bean Coffee Roasters are highlighted because that's what we used as a search term. And you see that this term can appear in the top line returned, and generally this top line here, this clickable link, is taken straight out of the title of the web page. That's why the title is so important. So you can see the title here, Gourmet Beans by Cool Beans Coffee Roasters. So if we click here, click through, and look at the title here in the title bar. It's the same text. So the title is important to include the words you want to be found on, but it's also important because it has to be interesting to the people browsing. Let's go back. It has to be interesting to the people browsing the search results. This text here has to appear relevant and interesting, so it's worth including the words you want. You want to make it relevant and interesting and enticing. So that's one of the most important things you can do. Include relevant words you want to be found on. So let's go back to Composer and let's make it relevant and interesting. For the sake of this example, I'm going to leave those keywords at the start of the line. And then after that, I'm going to add a hyphen, Bean Coffee Roasters, articles and tips available here, or listed here, as a quick example. And let's OK that. So that's one place where you want to put the keywords you want to be found on. It's also useful to put the keywords in context. Obviously, your text has to be readable, but it's useful to put them near the top of the page. So in the headline, Bean Coffee Roasters, you can make it the same as the title if you wish. Articles, or very similar, articles and tips, for example. And then it doesn't do any harm, again in context, to put those words throughout the text, in the subheadings, in the text, and so on. What's also useful are links on your website that link to this page. It's often useful to have the link text with the relevant text. So at the moment, this page is linked through to Home, the home text. Even though, for example, you could put home space dash space Bean Coffee Roasters information. So that's very useful to other people browsing your website, but it also includes your keywords linking through to your page. So that can be useful as well. However, you see that this way the links become much longer, so they then may wind up lapping over 2 or 3 lines rather than the current short text we have. So that's a quick introduction to some things you can do to your Minisite and your Minisite pages to help them be a little bit more relevant for getting found through the search engines. However, as I mentioned, it is an ever-changing subject, and it is a very, very in-depth subject. You can get hugely sidetracked trying to learn everything there is to know about search engine optimization, and that time could detract from running your business. You have to decide how much time you want to spend learning about it and applying it to your site. However, you may find the following free resource helpful. If you go to the browser, and going from memory, it's www.seoresearchlabs.com, they have an SEO Fast Start book here. It's a free download. It used to sell very successfully for about $30, but they give it away for free now if you subscribe. However, if we scroll up and take a look, this was written in May of 2004, so it is out of date. And as mentioned, this is a very fast-moving area, but it won't do any harm to download it and print it out and have a read, and it will make you more familiar with what's involved. And of course, there are many other paid resources that you may want to look at. And actually, a couple of places you may want to look. I've heard there's a blog at seobook.com. I visit from time to time, and it's pretty interesting. And they also offer, if you scroll down, they offer a constantly updated ebook, which at this time retails for around $80. I've heard good things about this, so you may want to take a look. Or a good resource on anything search engine related is SE Watch. Actually, the full address is searchenginewatch.com, and they make full recommendations of search engine books and forums. They have a lot of information. You'll see by browsing this site that the amount of information is overwhelming. So, I'd recommend making small changes to your mini sites to maybe help getting them found through the search engines a little, but the more in-depth you go on this subject, the more time you're going to have to spend on it. So, this video can't cover this subject in detail just because it's a huge subject, and there's actually a mountain of information to keep up to date with. If we just go back a few pages, this free download is a good starting point, and they have a more advanced course. I believe they work with you hand in hand, or it's an interactive course, not particularly inexpensive, but you may want to look at this as well. So those are some more options to take a look at if you want to go more in depth. But anyway, just before we wrap up this video, back to Composer, let's save this. Minimize Composer, minimize the browser, and OK, the page we just updated was here, index.html. I'm going to click, hold, and drag that into the browser and let go, and there's our page. And actually, I should make that clickable. So let's go back to Composer, and let's select this link, click, hold, and drag, insert link. It links through to index.html. Even though that's the current page, I'm just doing this for example's sake. OK, save that. Back to the browser, refresh, and there's our link. So put in keywords you're interested in being found on in the title, near the top of the page, in the headline, in the links to the page, and inside the text where it's relevant. That can marginally help you get found, but that really is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this subject, so I have included those resources which you may want to spend some time with and go through.